Over the past couple of weeks, there's been a positive outcome for Nios stock, and we can also see that this is kind of visualizing the company's delivery numbers. So on the graph here, we can see it in the blue numbers for 2024 compared to the green numbers of 2023. So we just had our September delivery numbers, and this is the fifth month in a row where the company is now, very much around 20,000 deliveries. This specific month, we just had the numbers in at 21,181 cars, of which around 876 were from Onvo, their sub-brand. And remember that Onvo just recently launched. I believe it's only 3 delivery days for Onvo. So although they are kind of ramping up the volume deliveries, we can see that they had a comment on a couple of weeks ago that they mentioned that for October they're planning to deliver around and manufacture 5,000 cars, and for December 10,000 cars. So if we only manage to, let's say if you go back to the monthly view again, so now for October, because this has been my kind of ramp up from previously, and I'm confident that Nio will come in at around 26,000, let's say, deliveries or thereabouts, 25, 26, could even be 20, for all 27. But let's go with 25 to 26 for next month. And this is very important because we've been plateauing at very good numbers of 20,000 a month. But now, we want to see the next step. Now we want to see Onvo delivery increases. And I have no doubt in my mind that Onvo's delivery will be very, effective and very productive because there is so much demand for Onvo out there. And we know that the car is very competitive compared to like even the best one out there. Like, for example, if you go with Model Y. Of course, Model Y is going to be updated early next year, I believe. It's going to be a bit better than the previous Model Y, but still, I think the Onvo car is very competitive. I wouldn't, be worried at all. And this has very important effect on Nio's, let's say, margin. So you can see here on the blue dotted line on the graph, that's the, quarterly deliveries. So we also had the quarterly delivery record now at 61,855, which managed to come in just about in between their guidance, which was 61,000 to 63,000, if I recall correctly, at the previous earnings call. And with that, I think, we can see yet another expansion in Nio's gross margin. And most importantly, if we go back again to the monthly delivery, we can see here that for next month, for October, if you have, let's say, October, November, and December, averaging around 26 to 30,000 cars. Let's go, let's go with 26,000 cars, right? If we average 26,000 cars in October, November, and December, we would have 78,000 cars, for next quarter, right? And why is that important? Well, look at what it could mean. You can see that I've accounted for 78,000 deliveries in Q4. I also increased my expectations for gross margin a little bit. I'll show you later in the video how we arrive at that number. But although you can also see that I'm very conservative. So for example, I think the 78,000 number could happen and it's very realistic number at this stage. But for gross margin, I wouldn't be surprised if it's closer to 12.5 or 13 even. You can see actually that over the past, since Q2 of last year, the gross margin has very tightly followed the delivery number on a quarterly basis. So you can see gross margin in white, essentially following as much as it can the number of, cars sold. So it's a very nice correlation there. And here from now on, I'm kind of assuming that the deliveries increase faster than the gross margin, but it's just to be conservative and, to not, give you false hope. But I think, there's room for that. My gross margin numbers are a bit conservative, and that's a good side. And going back to, the stock price, you can see that now we are just around $7 in the pre-market. Yesterday was interesting. It kind of went up all the way to, like $7.5, was up over like 14%, and then ended the day at around 2.5%. So very, sharp drop off by end of the day. But we are already at around $7 again in the pre-market. So all good there. Just a quick word also on, the competition, so to say. So if you go to the monthly delivery here table, you can see that we just got number for Xpeng and LiAuto. And I have to lift my hat for the Xpeng management. You can see that September was an insane month for Xpeng. They actually outsold Nio there, and it's because the Xpeng very nicely put sedan there, Xpeng Mona 3. It's selling like hotcake, and it's gonna start to export soon, I think in Q4, and that's gonna be insane for Xpeng's margins, especially if they get good traction in Europe, which I believe they'll get. Remember, the reason why Nio is not selling that well in Europe, it's because there's Neo is very expensive, and with all the tariffs, it's become a really expensive car in Europe, and not many people see the value at that kind of price tag. But if you go with Xpeng Mona 3, I think a sedan of that kind of performance, maybe it comes in, I don't know what, let's say 45,000 euros at most. Let's say 45,000 euros at most. That's gonna really threaten Tesla's Model 3 in Europe to the degree that I think Xpeng will have a good sales in Europe. So I'm really, positive for Xpeng. Remember that Xpeng now, they importantly had a really nice margin in the previous quarter, even better than Nio. And remember, the reason why Nio's margin is slightly less than Xpeng, despite Nio selling the cars at higher price, is because their battery swap systems and the grid that they need to build up. And that's one of the reasons why Xpeng kind of has better margins. And actually, if you look at Neo's battery infrastructure, they managed to get just around 2 million new swaps during the month of August through September. So sorry, from essentially the full month of September. And we are now currently at around 30 swaps quite exactly up per station, which is half the number that Neo needs in order to break even on the swap stations. But again, remember that they are increasing this number very fast now, because you can see here as the fleet size increases, we are currently just around 600,000 Neo cars out there. Most of them are fairly new cars from the last 4 or 5 years. All of them are utilizing the swapping to some degree. So the build out of the swap station seems to kind of in relation to the fleet size kind of slow down a bit, and that's very important in order to get the utilization up. And that's what we're seeing from the beginning of the year. We were at around, I don't know, 20 low 20s of swaps per station, and now we are close to 30, and I believe we'll end the year in the middle of the 30s. So everything good there for Neo, for Xpeng, really good. I mean, these companies are still very lowly valued. If you look at this number, for example, here, go back here, you look at the market cap. So let's sort this by the market cap. Tesla up there at 835 billion, and look at Neo and Xpeng at 13 respective 15 billion market cap. And why is that important? Well, if you, for example, go back to Neo, so let's have a look at Neo's year-to-date numbers, right? They're at 150,000 or so cars delivered. And my expectation, as I mentioned, is just under 80,000 deliveries for Q4. So if you had 150 plus 80,000, we're getting into 230,000 cars. And I expect Tesla to sell for this year maybe 1.8 million or thereabouts, 1.75, 1.9 maybe in best case scenario. So Neo is gonna sell, I don't know, like 7 times less than Tesla. But you look at, for example, the difference between the market caps at 835 billion compared to, I don't know, a measly of 50 billion. If Neo would double the market cap to 30 billion, there still be almost 30 times difference in market capitalization between Neo and Tesla. So 30 times difference if Neo stock price doubles. So right now it's closer to 50 or 60 times higher market cap, but only selling 7 to 6 times more cars. And I expect that number to actually decrease. So for example, for 2025, I expect Tesla to sell, I don't know, let's say over 2 million. If we are generous, let's say let's go with 3 million cars, right? For next year, I wouldn't be surprised if Neo, for example, if you go to the monthly view, I will make sure that I'll make an update here for 2025 as well, as we are getting close to 2025. I wouldn't be surprised if Neo for 2025 averages at the bare minimum 28,000 cars on a monthly basis, now with Onvo getting into the picture. I believe the 28,000 average monthly deliveries for Neo is very conservative, but if we take 28 times 12 times, we would get at 340,000 cars or thereabouts for Neo next year. And if you take, let's say 2,400, so let's take, 2.4 million divided by 340,000, that's around 7 times, just about 7 times. But again, if we now increase Neo to, let's go with 32,000 deliveries per month, right? So if you go with 32 and then take that correlation with Tesla and Nio, so we can see that it could be, I don't know, bear with me. Yeah, it could be 6 times. So maybe by end of next year, the relationship between Tesla's vehicle delivery on yearly basis compared to Nio is only 6 times more, but the stock price is, I don't know, 60 times more. Especially if you're one of those people that think Tesla stock price is also gonna go up now. It's been kind of taking a hit over the long term. If you go back 2 or 3 years, if your expectations are that Tesla will somewhat appreciate in value in the up and coming year, and its market cap goes to, I don't know, 1.2, 1.3 trillion US dollar, and if their the deliveries war stats, if their 10th of October event is very positive, if Tesla goes up in price, I cannot see why Nio or Xpeng shouldn't also go up and actually outpacing that similar growth. Although over the past 3 years Tesla has been taking a hit and Nio and Xpeng taking even larger hit, once the kind of growth comes into the picture again, we could see the outperformance of Nio and Xpeng compared to Tesla on the positive side. So yeah, I'm again sorry for a long video, but things change very quickly in this market, and we've seen over the past year that the lithium carbonate price is still kind of going down. So we are now at around 73,000 in this Chinese currency per ton, and you can see that if you start the year we were at around 100,000. So there's a lot of good things coming. The electric vehicle market, Nio and Xpeng, I'm especially bullish on right now. Again, this is not recommendation to buy stocks. I just follow these two stocks and I especially like them, and I think even Xpeng, to be honest, is a nice value at this stage if they continue to deliver on this kind of rate. And let's finish the video with Onvo, Nios sub brand. Remember, they just delivered around, let's say, 850 cars, just around 1,000. The goal for next month is 5,000 cars, and for December, 10,000 cars. I mean, Xpeng in just few weeks from now will be on a run rate of 100,000 cars per year. And most likely, if you take the run rate of half year through next year, I wouldn't be surprised if Xpeng is delivering 15 to 20,000 cars by middle of next year, a monthly rate. So that will do it for today. I'm very happy with Nio and Xpeng. Please like and subscribe. That's gonna help me to grow the channel and try to be even more active here. And please, yeah, thank you and see you in the next one.